The Your Party conference has descended into chaos. We speak to the Telegraph mole, who tells us why the comrades, having pledged unity, are fighting like rats in a sack.
It was surreal. It was weird. It was a bit sad. And it sort of veered between being quite muted and being quite mad and shambolic throughout. No coherence, no real policy. It was just people stood up and shouting really tired old lines about oppressed workers and why we all need to eat the rich.
Here's what the Your Party conference was like. Every year around this time, there is something called Winter Wonderland.
Yes.
And it's advertised as bringing the magic of the North Pole here to the UK. And when people turn up, it always turns out to be a muddy field covered in paint, one girl in a sexy elf costume,
Yes.
smoking a cigarette,
Yes.
and a drunken Santa.
Yes.
And you always think, okay, it's bad, but what did you expect? Why did you pay £30 to go to something called Winter Wonderland in Leeds?
That's right.
And likewise, your party turned out to be exactly what we expected. On the first day, they denied entrance to some members because they were already members of another party. The co-founder, Zarah Sultana, then joined them in boycotting it. On the second day, she agreed to go in, where they voted to have no leader. They're going to be organised by a sort of a Politburo. They're going to allow people to join it who are already members of other parties, which includes that wonderful Trotskyite cult, the Socialist Workers Party, who would take over a Tupperware party if you gave them half an inch. And the whole thing just descended into absolute pointless chaos and ended with a man singing "Glad to be Gay," while the presiding committee looked thoroughly miserable, including poor old Jeremy Corbyn.
Did he verge into the Venn diagram of your party and say proud to be gay in Palestine or anything like that?
Well, I think that's what a lot of this was about. It was about the difficulty of papering over the support for the party among conservative Muslims and the support among pro-trans activists. I sadly could not go, but Annabel Denham did. What was it like?
It was surreal. It was weird. It was a bit sad. And it sort of veered between being quite muted and being quite mad and shambolic throughout. No coherence, no real policy. It was just people stood up and shouting really tired old lines about oppressed workers and why we all need to eat the rich. There were a few gems out there. So Jeremy Corbyn, he kept saying how full the room was, which politicians always do, Trump perhaps most guilty among them. But actually, if you looked around you, there were quite a few empty rows. But he kept saying our party and then tripping up and saying your party, and then reverting to our party and sort of oscillating between the two. And you think, of all the things that he would have wanted to come out of that conference, a new name.
Well, I watched the debate on the name change. And speaker after speaker said, we don't want to have this debate. This debate is misleading. It's dragging us away from the important issues of the day, which is the witch hunt at this conference against members and against comrades. I mean, witch hunt is not a phrase you want to use in a conference that includes actual witches.
No.
But it did occur to me the sheer number of boys with long hair with strange names who are clearly transitioning to something. It occurred to me that if they did kick out all the conservative Muslims and they just became a party for trans, they could be their party.
Yes.
Because that's the right pronoun. Yes.
Well, lots of people were saying their
party.
pronouns. I caught a little bit of it on X, and then I had to turn away and rearrange my sock drawer for more entertainment. And there are some social media videos out there, aren't there, of these conventions of people that have to preface everything with, can I just say that these are my pronouns? And then somebody starts disrespecting the pronouns, and then somebody else stands up because they're neurodiverse and they can't cope with the noise, and then the speaker loses control. It almost became a parody of itself. But this is the other post-truth period that we have entered, and this is what happens when Frankenstein meets its monster. We now have a scenario where there are some who attend the Your Party conference that don't think that Jeremy, I've fought racism all my life, Corbyn, you have fought some racism, but not anti-Semitism, sadly, is not anti-Zionist enough, Annabel. That's the era that we're in now, that we've now got a group of people, these are presumably the same people who think the BBC is biased towards Israel.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Who don't think that Corbyn, who famously described Hamas and Hezbollah as friends, isn't anti-Israel enough.
No, but that's ultimately what these people fundamentally believe, isn't it? So there was that article that was setting out all of the reasons why Jeremy Corbyn was insufficiently anti-Zionist. And let's not forget, this is somebody who got himself into all sorts of trouble as Labour leader for anti-Semitism that was running rampant through his party. But just back to sort of some of the details of being there. There were plenty of pride flags, plenty of trans flags, plenty of men, as you say, with long hair, plenty of keffiyehs, plenty of crocheted cardigans. But I would
Any
say
Tory
ultimately,
scum badges or any?
No, not that I saw.
Any
No
anti-reform rhetoric?
Not that I mean, just the usual sort of Farage bashing, reform bashing,
Fascist,
exactly,
Nazis,
fascist, Nazis, exactly.
Standard
just as
bingo
you
card stuff for the Trotskyites.
But I did enjoy how on the eve of the conference, Zarah Sultana said that she wanted to nationalise the entire economy, which is not even something Joseph Stalin
Nationalise
attempted
the
to do.
world.
Okay.
Wow.
That might make the Khmer Rouge.
But the backdrop to
turn
this,
pale.
of course, is that the Greens, not the Greens, but your party are now polling at just 12%.
But that's really high.
Well, it is, except when you look at the detail, actually that 12% flatters.
Right.
Because 85% of that 12% would vote for the Green Party. So these are people who are open to voting for your party, but not necessarily wholly persuaded. And I suspect a lot of them will flock to the Greens. Indeed, many already have, because your party is now down 6 percentage points since a few months ago.
As a social
getting
phenomenon,
frowned.
do you think your party supporters are the same as Green Party supporters? Or are there some difference between them?
I think if you were to do a Venn diagram, there would be a decent amount of overlap. But there are a lot of people who still vote for the Green Party because they consider themselves to be environmentalists. They're doing so because they think this is the party that will look after wildlife, that cares about biodiversity. And they really ought to look perhaps a bit more closely at
There's a lot of Green supporters that are
policies.
just disgruntled Tories, and I'm not sure they're flocking to Sultana and
No,
Corbyn.
but I suppose I should have been specific. I mean the actual party activists themselves. And I do think, having attended a Green event, I'm not an expert, I think they are subtly different. They're a bit more middle class, a little bit more normal, more interested in the environment, just not quite as batty or insane. And your party, like Momentum used to do, really is sucking in the cults. It's unless you know about this stuff, if you know this stuff, you recognize these people instantly. Oh, you're SWP. Oh, you're with the Socialist Alliance. And these are groups that really live in little sealed communities.
Yes.
I think Green is a bit bigger than
It's
that.
a bit more mainstream. So
And-
this is Fringe.
Yeah.
This is off-Broadway socialism.
That's a good way of putting
And
it.
Greens is West End stroke Broadway, big
And also,
ticket socialism.
Zach Polanski has some charm.
Well,
Zarah Sultana has no charm.
She looked utterly miserable when she
Yes.
was giving her speech.
Did
And
she?
she
Zarah Sultana.
condemned
And actually, that's
the
sort of her
conference's
demeanour.
behaviour in her speech to the conference.
And they all talk about unity.
I
and
know.
Actually, they
They're at each
couldn't be
other's
more
throats.
divided.
Before we go, who knows what word of the year is, according to the Oxford Dictionary?
It's going to get
actually
me
two
angry.
words.
It's going to get me angry. What is it?
It's Ragebait.
Ah,
Do we know what Ragebait means,
I
Annabel?
think it's us.
What is it? Us
I
putting
think
things
it's
on
what
Twitter?
Daily
it's the
Tea.
Daily Telegraph.
Yeah, that's right. It's us saying that your party people are odd
Yes.
and strange, and then getting a barrage of abuse for it.
Yes.
Well,
How
basically,
would you define Ragebait, Annabel?
I wouldn't know how to define
Right.
Ragebait. But this happens every single year. They tell us what the word is, and I have
Well,
to
it
go and
isn't a
look it
word
up.
either.
The
It's
word
a
we've all
phrase,
been using,
phrase.
and none of us have
Exactly.
heard
It's
it.
a phrase. Although, after this podcast, and in general, I don't think it should be phrase of the year. I think pitch rolling should be phrase of the year.
Oh,
And then can we
because-
ban it?
oh,
Then
we
we
should
Should we
ban
ban
acknowledge
it.
it as phrase of the year?
Yes.
And then
Can we
ban it.
outlaw it?
If you're enjoying our journalism, why not sign up to From the Editor, our free email newsletter? Start your day with the latest news and opinion, plus our bite-sized puzzles. Scan the QR code to sign up free today.